Good evening, YouTube, and welcome to the Piper Report. So I want to do a quick video here on a really quick article. So we'll go over the article quick, and for the most part, I think people kind of know how I feel about income taxes and things of that nature. But for my new subscribers, I will briefly go over how I feel and what I think should happen with this future tax reform. Here's the article quickly. House Republicans plan a retreat away from the Capitol next week to discuss a tax overhaul that congressional leaders have been working on for months. The retreat is set for Wednesday, but Republicans aren't disclosing details. GOP leaders have promised to publicly release outlines of their tax plan in the coming week. Republicans are determined to deliver the first tax overhaul in more than 3 decades. The goal is to cut tax rates for individuals and corporations and eliminate some tax breaks to pay for the cuts. House Republicans say the retreat will give them a chance to discuss the plan and ask questions. Okay, first off, I hope we actually get tax reform and not just tax cuts. We actually need tax reform. I mean, if you really want to do taxes based on fairness, there would be a flat tax. In a perfect world, there wouldn't even be an income tax. What most people don't realize is that the Supreme Court ruled the progressive income tax, that is the actual name for it, the progressive income tax is unconstitutional. In the late 1800s, the Supreme Court ruled the income tax was unconstitutional. Before then, the government received the majority of their revenue from tariffs. And yes, highways still got built. Streets still got built. People think, well, if you're the income tax, well, we won't have any highways, we won't have any rail systems. Everything will just die. No. We've done it before, and we can do it again. But that will never happen. But if we really want to actually make this country better, a simple flat tax for everything. I mean, you do 15%, 10%, and that would really simplify the tax code. And what that does is that gets rid of the massive amount of IRS bureaucracy happening. Yes, many people in the IRS will lose their jobs, of course. However, it would definitely free up a lot of extra funds and regulations for those to start new business ventures. Before 1913, before the implementation of the Federal Reserve, where fiat currency was first introduced and the US dollar was being backed by US gold less and less over the years. It started off completely backed by US gold, then it was a fraction, then it's a fraction, then 1971, it was no more gold at all. The government was not able to completely fund all of these wars that we can now. Now, we can just print a massive wave of fiat currency, and we can fund any type of war we want. We can fund any type of foreign political venture that we want. Back then, the government actually had to borrow money from corporations. The government had to borrow what they can from the people to go to war. Being on the gold standard actually limits the power of the government. It would be great to go back to that, but in this type of climate, that's probably not likely, not until we actually start seeing real change. And if we can actually prevail in this endeavor, you would see a lot better things. But anyways, like I said, the most fair for a tax plan would be 10% flat tax, or 15%, but a flat tax would be the most fair. However, what I would like to see, if I'm going to be under the assumption that the income tax will remain for the foreseeable future, what I think you should do is no tax cuts to the rich, but definitely cut corporate tax rates. So for instance, right now, the highest individuals highest income pays 39.6% income taxes, okay? The corporate tax rate is 35%, right? Meow. So, instead of that, you could actually, there's I think 7 tax brackets right now. You can drop that down to like 3. Take it up to 40% for those who make $1 million or more. And then do about 25% for those who make $200,000 to $999,000. And then do 10% from $50,000 to 199,000, and then under 50,000 do free. So what this would do, the rich people would still actually pay high taxes. So that would definitely still help revenue, but you would give massive income relief to the middle class and to the lower class, and they in turn can actually use that money on consumer products. Then also, you would reduce the corporate tax rate from 35% to something like 15% and give tax credits to corporations that utilize research and development grants. For example, if a company that is headquartered in Texas, for example, if they all of a sudden move a new factory or a new facility to the high urban area of Detroit, the interstate of Detroit, well, instead of 15% tax, maybe give them 10% corporate tax rates. So you give them incentives, and you give them these incentives to actually want to expand their businesses. And you will see job growth that way as well. But I don't think Congress should implement a tax cut where the highest earners, 39.6%, get the biggest tax cut. I think they should still pay high, but you lower the corporate tax rate and you basically get rid of the middle class tax rate. Bring that down really low, and you will see more spending and more consumers and more businesses begin to start new business adventures. And I think that will help overall. And I'm done.